Russ Beckett, Seven Mountains Media. Oh, the festival is coming. The festival is coming to the People's Natural Gas Park July 26th and 27th. It is the Amerisurf Flood City Music Festival, and one of the acts that's going to be there is Daniel Donato's Cosmic Country. And we got Daniel on the phone right now. Daniel, thank you for chatting with us.
Howdy.
Howdy. Your story is incredible. I'm sure you've told it 1,000 times, but can you tell us a little bit about how you discovered performing music?
Well, I discovered it the first time that I played on stage, really, the potential of it. And I liked what I was seeing, and I liked what I was feeling, and I still do.
Now, you started your career, if I got it right from your bio, you were busking in Nashville.
That's right.
How old were you when you were doing this?
I was around 14. I just finished middle school. I was about to start up as a little high school kid.
How did you even have the courage or just the gumption to, at 14 to go, I'm going to stand on a city corner for 8 hours a day?
Well, I didn't know it at the time, but I just had a lot of faith in myself. And how I got that, I don't know. I don't know how I get a lot of the things that I have or other things that I see people have, and I don't know where all that comes from.
I love the story. I've been doing a deep dive on your YouTube page the last couple of days, and there's a lot of influences that come out in your music. One of them is, of course, the Grateful Dead. And who gave you that? The first sign of that music is a great story.
My dad turned me on to American Beauty when I was 12, and then the live variable of what is that band revealed itself to me when I was around 17 years old. My American history teacher turned me on to them. It was one of the greatest lessons in American history that I think the Williamson County Public School System ever gave to a student. was that right there.
And I mean, I encourage everyone to go to his YouTube page, listen to it. It's very much Americana country. There's definitely some rock in there. When you're first creating like the sound that you want to be, kind of how's all that to come together, or is it just like, you start playing and that's what happens?
I don't know. I mean, everything you just said can really just, Americana, country, rock, and folk, and bluegrass. You could just throw that into the genre of cosmic country, which is kind of what I'm trying to do for everybody is compress things. So understand we live in a very fast world now.
Yes.
And we need to be able to be very concise in what our ask and what we're offering people in our society is. So I think Cosmic Country has enough bandwidth in the interpretation of the name for people to understand that where it comes from, where it's at, and where it's going. I think genres are functional on a commercial level, but I think if you're having a conversation about something artistic, not really concerning any commercial ideas, genres they don't even really ever come up in conversation. They would only come up in the need to understand where to classify music for consumers to go and dive in and listen. So I just always loved what I loved, and I've never been really good at finding an emotional reality and playing music that I don't really love or find truthful. So that's kind of where all the influencers, I just discover them in real time because they speak to me and they pull me in their direction, and I follow them with faith and curiosity and a lot of, headstrongness. So I got turned on to, old traditional country music and western swing and bluegrass when I was 14, and I was playing down at Robert's Westerland all the time. And then I started discovering improvisational music when I was in my late teens, and those two approaches to music were the first seeds in the soil of cosmic country.
And how did you first put together your band?
It was just different variations of bands up until when it felt right, and when it felt like it was the frequency was aligned amongst all the personalities in a band. A band is just like a team, and it's just like a sports team on some level, or a business team, or communication patterns are different, and what everybody brings to the table will be different, but it's a puzzle of personality. Personality is the thing that precedes instruments, and it precedes sound, and it precedes everything, as far as I'm concerned. So, when the personality puzzle was fitting, then we're off to the races, and you can tell. I have had about 10 years of experience of being a working musician in Nashville and playing in bands that I was hired to play in, or I auditioned to play in, whether it was live or at the Grand Ole Opry, or whether it was on a recording environment. So I was able to really see when bands were clicking and when bands weren't, and why that was happening. And that was priceless experience, as most experience is, usually only revealed in hindsight. I'm very grateful to have had that experience because I was able to see what is behind that so-called magic that a lot of people like to call it.
It's magic to me because anytime, and I've been to this festival for many years, it's a lot of different jam bands that seem to just like have this unspoken thing between each other, and that whole thing just blows my mind because it's so away from anything I could even contemplate doing to just kind of hear it and play off it, and everyone work together. It's an incredible thing to see from the audience.
It's an incredible thing to be very close to and be creating in real time for people. It's the thrill of our lives to be able to chase those moments and bring them into reality. It really is. I think it's as close to what transcending a moment can be, is that.
So you got an album out now called Reflector. What's it like creating an album? Do you worry about the theme? How's that work for you now?
I guess I worry about it. I imagine it. I worry about it. I talk about it with my band. We get as aligned as we can at that point in time to move forward with songs, and we bring them to the listeners in our community when we're playing our shows, and listen back to the shows and talk about how the songs could go, and slowing down the tempo, working on dynamics, harmonies, lyrics, all of the moving parts that are the gears to it. But I just try to stay open to a lot of ideas, and I just think about them every day. If you give them enough time, they tend to reveal themselves and they get organized.
So how long is a traditional time to create a song from idea to completion?
It's just different for every single one. It really is. Some of them take a while. Some of them take a couple of years. Some of them take a couple minutes, literally. Time is, it's really strange when you start talking about time with music because music creates time. Because if I were to play to you a song by Bill Monroe and Bluegrass Boys, like Uncle Pen or something, the 3 minutes that recording is going on feels really fast compared to the 3 minutes of, say, Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan.
Right.
Yet the time that they're existing in is numerically the same, but the feeling is exquisitely unique from one to the other. It's kind of a drag to really consider time when it comes to music in a literal sense, if you're really trying to get down to the bottom line of what music can do. And then it's kind of strange if you start thinking about some songs, they take about the same amount of time that it would take for a human to be born, but some of these songs live way longer than humans. And so you can kind of get glimpses, you get these foreshadowing tastes of eternity through the vehicle that is music and song. And that's a really powerful reality and potential. And so that's just the thing I'm always trying to stay connected to with whatever it is that we're doing. And that's hard to do. It's really a challenge. Surprisingly, it's not easy. Like people would see on social media where it's just, law of attraction based woohoo stuff. It's quite challenging. It's a full-time job, really.
To create the kind of sound that you've been creating, I'm sure, is very much a full-time job.
Yeah, it is. And it's great privilege, man. It really is. There's nothing else I would be as honored to do with my life aside from having kids and being a father one day and being a husband, and trying to be a great son and brother to my family and everyone that I work with. This is the greatest service I could dedicate my life to.
Absolutely. I want to make sure I ask about your podcast, Lost Highways.
We're touring more than Barnum and Bailey's circus right now. And so I definitely, when I have the bandwidth to do it, I'd love to. And if there's anybody listening to this that is good at editing and producing podcasts that could help me on the technical side so I don't have such a big time investment on my end to edit and, cut the camera angles and do all the ads and everything, I'd love to do it because I have a lot of questions to ask people and ideas to get across that I really miss doing. It was very therapeutic to do that, and it gained quite a following when I was doing it. I only have 24 hours in a day, and I only have so much energy, even at 29 years old,
Eventually, you got to sleep.
I hate that I do. Yeah.
Oh, man, I thank you so much for your time. It is the Bud Light Main Stage, July 26th, 7:30 to 9, People's Natural Gas Park. You get to check out this amazing artist live in Johnstown. We cannot wait until you're coming to town.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's the Mo and More PA podcast. If you have a charity, upcoming event, or 501c3, and you want to be featured on an upcoming episode, you can email me, producer Russ, at rbeckett@sevenmountainsmedia.com. RBECKETT@7mountainsmedia.com. Keep checking back here for more news on what's going on in our area. It's the Mo and More PA podcast.